Clark Lee and the Vanderbilt Commodores have landed a big-time 3-star defensive line commit, Joey Quinn. Let's get after it.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. And today, we're going to talk about the latest in recruiting. Clark Lee got a big-time commitment from 3-star defensive lineman Joey Quinn out of Mount Carmel, Illinois. And a couple other targets are on the hook as well. KD Jones from Jenks, Oklahoma. Can Vandy beat out Oklahoma State? It could be a long shot. It could happen. Are they going to do it? We'll find out. Bryce Gilmore also has made his visit for the spring game instead of early June. He was set to come right after Memorial Day, but he decided to move that visit up. Is that a good sign? We'll also talk about that and more. In basketball, Mark Byington has a lot of work to do ahead of him. It's portal season. It's portal madness, portal craziness. I can't say the word madness this month, but he's going to now have to replace Alex Hemenway and Jaylen Carey. They're the latest additions to the transfer portal from Vandy. Is anyone next? Is it going to be Jason Edwards? What does it mean for Vandy basketball? Well, anyway, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So this commitment is exciting. Okay, this should fire you up. Okay, because yes, I know Vanderbilt has not gotten a ton of commits in this 2026 class, but it's a work in progress, right? And with the portal being as active as it is, like, is high school recruiting as important as it used to be? Which things have changed a lot, and I think Vandy's done a really good job of building through the portal, nonetheless, so far, and that's And that's my ESPN alert telling me that, Joey Quinn has committed. But yeah, Joey Quinn, defensive lineman, the latest commitment out of Mount Carmel, Illinois. Guess who his teammate is? And this was probably an easy slam dunk recruitment for Coach Black in Illinois. It was Jack Elliott is his teammate, and that was probably an easy commitment. And Jack Elliott probably did a really good job of selling his teammate on what is great about Vanderbilt. So this is a big time commit because I think Clark Lee has done a phenomenal job at building the depth on the defensive line. That's one of the most important positions you need to build as much depth and as much quality depth as you can. And we're going to watch Joey Quinn's film here in just a second, his huddle film. So you're going to kind of see how disruptive he can be and how good he is. So and he's going to come in. He looks the part. He looks polished. He's big, 6'6", 250 pounds. So he's going to kind of fit into that defensive end role. In a 3-down, he could be a 4 technique, a very disruptive 4 technique. And he's got a little bit of quickness to him. He's got some strength, and he can. He's got enough of a burst, I think, to be dangerous. But he's going to have to kind of work on some of his get off moves and really just kind of his acceleration through the tackle. I think are going to be some of his deficiencies that he needs to improve on when he gets to campus. But we're going to see all of that on film. But the implications of being able to get quality defensive linemen is big. It lets you know that a lot of people think highly of this scheme. A lot of people think highly of the future of Vanderbilt. They feel like Clark Lee is doing a good job. They feel like Clark Lee is going to get them prepared for the next level. And I think you're going to see kind of, it's kind of that next step. And it's not a process that happens overnight or in the blink of an eye. It's a process that you have to kind of be patient with. You have to kind of take some of these small wins. Is this guy, like, when you see him, he's obviously not a 5-star. He's obviously, he's obviously got some things going, and Vanderbilt's not gonna immediately jump up to number 1 in any recruiting rankings list by any stretch overnight. But You get some quality guys that you can bring in and develop. They're in a place with that position now that you can get a guy like Joey Quinn who's got a lot of the measurables, who's got a lot of great skills, but just needs a little bit of refinement. And then he can contribute. Like, he can contribute a little bit at a time, and then as he gets into a sophomore year, maybe getting to a constant rotation and then eventually work his way into the starting lineup. I think he has that kind of potential. I don't know that he is a day one guy. I don't know that you want to rely on a freshman on the defensive line day one. But that's especially a position like defensive end. Now, like a nose guard, you have a guy with enough size and enough quickness, you can kind of put some good weight on him and just kind of have him play a disruptive role from the inside. But as far as Joey Quinn goes, I think this is going to be a really good fit for this defense. But let's look at the film. All right. Highly intelligent too, 3.25 GPA coming out of Mount Carmel, Illinois. He's got that Joey Bosa vibe there with number 97, but I mean, he looks the part right here. And, I like the techniques that he uses. He's very fundamentally sound as he pushes through that offensive line to get to the quarterback. One thing that really kind of stands out to me is, his motor, I think is very, very good. He's relentless. He doesn't give up on the play, and he just kind of fights through. And he's, like I said, very technically sound, which I think coming into college, that's something that you want to be able to have, because you have a lot of guys that come in and they're raw, and you don't really know what much to do with them, and they don't always develop depending on how raw they are, because at a certain point you just reach a ceiling to where your fundamentals and techniques just aren't going to improve. But somebody that comes in already technically sound, you add a little bit of strength to him, you increase his power and his speed and his burst, and you get a hell of a player. Because if you get a high motor guy, that makes up for a lot of things, a lot of deficiencies that he could have, and some of those deficiencies at the next level could be exposed, because in the SEC it's very, very competitive. So, I think as a defensive end, some of what he needs to work on, which, I mean, as a freshman defensive end, it's probably true for a lot of people. So it's not really specific to him, and it's not a knock on him. It's just, he needs a touch extra burst off the line. And he needs, he needs to be able to close a little bit quicker on some of these plays. But otherwise, I think his hands are great and violent. He uses them well to get off blocks. He doesn't get stuck. He's really good. He's got really good instincts on getting to the ball. Seems like he's very well coached in his fundamentals and things like that. So, again, he's somebody I think can understand, how offenses want to attack, and understand what he needs to do in the position he needs to be in to be able to make these plays. So this is, like I said, this is a great pickup for Clark Lee. And, this is going to be, again, another talented guy entering the rotation. And anytime, like I said, I'm gonna keep reiterating the motor. You get a high motor guy like this, it is, that kind of energy is infectious, because they see this guy going and relentless and relentless and relentless and relentless and going and going and going. Guys are going to feed off of that. And so this is exciting. And he's a playmaker. So this is Clark Lee has done a really good job here getting this commitment. Jack Elliott, I guess you got to call him the lead recruiter as well. So this is really nice. This is really good. And Vandy's going to have quite the pipeline now to Mount Carmel. So we'll see how that shakes out. But Joey Quinn, 3-star defensive lineman, looking forward to seeing what he can contribute to this defensive line with already talented room there. And so there you go. Other news there. Katie Jones out of Jenks, Oklahoma. Is he going to be a Commodore? That That's probably a little bit of a long shot now. From what I'm reading, this is a situation to where one of the home state schools come in and just absolutely, I guess, made it, blew it out of the water there. There's been some successful running backs come out of Oklahoma State, so I kind of figured that's got to have a little bit of allure there. Especially with Chuba Hubbard getting paid, he got that bag from the Panthers. So that's that's somebody that I think is going to be he's going to see that and say, okay, maybe I should go to Oklahoma State. Ollie Gordon as well. Those two guys, and just kind of the history of the running back position at Oklahoma State had to kind of play a factor in this. But if I'm Katie Jones, okay, and if I'm Katie Jones and I somehow stumble across me, this is what I'm going to say to you, okay? If I'm Katie Jones, if I'm you, Katie, listen. Watch Vanderbilt football. Watch how they use the running backs. Watch this scheme be perfect for a guy like you, right? It would make total sense. Now, Oklahoma State, they have Mike Gundy. I don't know if he's going to retire or not. I don't know where he stands, but they're in a weird place right now because they're always picked high. They're always preseason favorites to do something special, and they just don't for whatever reason. That conference, they had a chance when Oklahoma and Texas left to really they were always kind of that third banana most of the time. And they had a chance to take over that conference, and they did. So if I'm Katie Jones, guess what I'm thinking? I'm going to get in the best conference in college football. I'm going to get into a scheme that really fits my playing, my abilities, and I'm going to show out. And I'm going to get into a pretty damn good NIL market as well. So why not jump into that, right? To me right now, it sounds crazy. This sounds bizarro world to say, but Vandy may be in a better shape than Oklahoma State at this point. So I don't know. It's going to come down to that. But I say don't burn the bridge if he doesn't commit to Vandy because, there's always the portal. So the notion of getting mad at a recruit for not coming to your school or choosing your school, that's got to also go by the wayside because of the portal. You never know. So Bryce Gilmore, offensive tackle. He moved his not commitment date, but he moved his official visit date up for Vanderbilt. He moved it up to April 12th, which is the spring game. Is that a good sign? I don't know, because he's predicted to go to Arkansas, But given the fact that Arkansas could be, their coaching situation is not exactly settled, because, they've been wanting to fire Sam Pittman, but he's got some health problems and they may save themselves some buyout by letting him retire. And he may decide, hey, my health is not good enough. I'm going to retire. So that might open some things up with Bryce Gilmore, but he's going to take an early visit now to Vanderbilt. I guess he's going to settle this thing once and for all. So Vanderbilt, I think, still does have a shot, but I don't know. Like, Arkansas seems to be a team that's really in the mix for him. But, again, a team that could use a lot of depth at tackle. They could use a down the line guy at the tackle position. Somebody that can come in and just kind of be a game changer at that position. It could be. It would just be a good fit for him to come to Vanderbilt, honestly. Given the fact that the way we play, and given the fact that there's some depth needs there at tackle. Be a great fit. It'd be a great system for him to be in. Great city, great university. What's now a stable program. All that good stuff. So anyway, basketball. We're going to switch gears to basketball. There's some portal insanity that we have to talk about. We'll talk about it next. Hey, speaking of insanity, have you ever had that feeling of trying to figure out where did all my money go after you looked at your bank account? Well, between dining out, online shopping, and probably betting on the NCAA tournament on FanDuel, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, and it gives you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Not talking about rich, talking about wealth. Surprising insights, man. I started using Monarch and I realized how much I was spending on food delivery. Wow. It's insane. Now, I budget smarter and save more. Also, I spend a lot at the gas stations too. Probably buying 5-hour energies and things like that. It's not really a waste, but I am spending a lot of money there. But instead of juggling multiple apps, I use Monarch to check my finances and track spending and even plan long-term goals. And managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without all the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use Locked On College at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. It's right down here. Code Locked On College for half off your first year. Okay, welcome back. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're here. If you need a second listen when I'm gone, look at Locked On SEC. Look at Locked On Ole Miss. Those are a couple of shows that have great perspectives and insight on all things SEC sports. And, of course, that month that lies between April and February, and the insanity that ensues with that month in between February and April. So, speaking of which, there's a lot of portal movement. Like football, the portal is out of control, and it's only gonna there's probably already almost 1,000 players in the portal, and that number is going to grow even more. So the latest two are Jaylen, Carey, and Alex Hemenway. Now, Alex Hemenway, that probably makes sense because it just wasn't a great fit. He was injured a lot anyway, so I'm not surprised by that one. I'm really not. But here's the one that surprised me. It is Jaylen Carey. Jaylen Carey enters the transfer portal, and he's the third. And he averaged 8 points, 5.5 rebounds per game this season, or he upped those numbers to 10 and 5.9 per night in SEC play. He's 6'8", and he was Mark Byington's first commit. He came with him. So this one kind of shocks me because he was a Mark Byington guy. Like, why would he leave James Madison, come with him to Vanderbilt, and then just up and leave? He was an absolute beast out there on the floor. He's just somebody that you just kind of want out there. Now, the biggest knock on him was obviously that he would just get into foul trouble. And some of that was him. Some of that was bad refereeing. But whatever the case is, Jaylen, this just doesn't make sense to me, except for the fact that it's a business. They made a business decision, and it just the dollars and the cents just didn't align with what Vanderbilt wanted to pay him and what Jaylen Carey wanted Vanderbilt to pay him. And so off he goes, man. That's just, honestly, and we got to get used to this. We got to wrap our heads around this. As a college football fan, now also as a college basketball fan, just portal in general, you have to get used to the fact that the days of you being able to grow with the roster, identify with the players, and really kind of just get to know the program and root for the players, just understand that a lot of these guys aren't loyal. They're here for business. And schools are going to start treating it as such. If players are going to move frequently, schools are going to also move on frequently. Schools are also going to treat this the same way the players are treating this as a business, right? Hey, it ain't working. Okay. Oh, yeah. You think you can get more money there? You think you can get your market value? Okay. Have at it, right? Go test it out. And you better make a decision fast. If you want to come back, I will leave that option open if we have the spot. So, it's just kind of that way. Like I think you're going to start seeing also more guys get processed, and you're going to see, but to me, it does surprise me that Jaylen Carey would get in the portal after taking the time to come with Mark Byington. He was a pivotal piece in this whole program and the success that it had this year, going from worst to not first, but like worst team in the conference to an NCAA bid and an NCAA bid in a game that they actually should have and could have won. But they didn't. And so, like I said, my only knock on him really is that he gets in foul trouble. But he's an animal, dude. He's an absolute beast. And so this is shocking to me. But on the same token, it's not, because it's the portal. And that kind of stuff happens. So what does Mark Byington have to do now? So Mark Byington's going to have to now kind of buckle down. Then Alan Lubin making a return trip to Vanderbilt. There's been some rumors of that. That could actually be coming true now, because, hey, there's now an opening. I thought, I was like, yeah, it's probably, he's not going to leave North Carolina to come back and back up Jaylen Carey. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. But now Jaylen Carey is entering the portal, not necessarily and also when they enter the portal, it doesn't mean that they're not going to come back. It just means that they're going to go exploring, because it's not unheard of that somebody jumps back out of the portal to rejoin the team. But they are taking the risk that, hey, if I jump in the portal, I'm forfeiting my spot, and there's a chance that I could come back and there's not a spot for me. And so, you get kind of screwed out there, and you enter the portal thinking you're going to Kentucky, and you end up at Kentucky State. No offense to Kentucky State. But you catch what I'm trying to do here. You end up at a school that you didn't want to be at. You end up at a low mid major, or you end up somewhere like James Madison, pun intended. You end up just anywhere but where you intended on. Like you think, hey, I'm gonna go to Purdue, and I'm going to, I'm going to Arkansas Pine Bluff, or you're like, man, I'm going to go to Cal, and you end up at UC Davis, right? UC Irvine, whatever. And so it's not where you intended on going, and you probably certainly lose NIL dollars because those schools don't have that. But again, it's just a risk that you take. And for Vanderbilt, there's a lot of guys in the portal, and there's a coach that had a lot of success in year one, has a proven system. It's proven to work in the toughest conference in college basketball. They made it. They got a tournament bid in that conference. They were viable. You saw his style of play. Maybe he's looking to become more athletic. Maybe this was more of a mutual decision than any of us realized. He's making a decision to go more athletic, to get bigger, and to get some more shooting, because they need more shooting, and they don't have enough shooting. They have some scorers, but they don't have enough shooting. And speaking of scorers, Jason Edwards, hearing some things about him. Is he leaning towards the portal or not? That remains to be seen, but we'll talk about it next. But we're all about the stats here, because you know what? Numbers don't lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada PRO-4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it's quite literally carrying the whole team, plus the gear wherever you need to go. it can haul everything. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room for up to 8 people, the Armada Pro-4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro-4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. So take your adventures to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro-4X. Learn more at nissanusa.com.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts, out on YouTube as part of the Locked On Podcast Network. And we're wrapping up the show here at Locked On Vandy. Like, subscribe, all of the above, and follow the show at Locked On Vandy on all social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and X. So this is odd. The portal is still kind of a new frontier. Okay, college football and college basketball, apparently. All right. With the way the world's turning, you got guys like Jaylen, Carey entering the portal, and talked about him as kind of being a shock because he is a Mark Byington guy. And so I don't know, with this whole portal thing, it could just be a business decision of like, hey, you just don't quite fit. We tried, or like, hey, NC State offered you this much, and we're not going to match that because they are overpaying for you. And it's like free agency, which, I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, and it's good that the players are getting paid, but it's getting also to a point where I just think it needs to be regulated a little bit. I don't know what that is. They pay guys, big dollars to figure that out. But for me, it's just gotta, I think you gotta have some sense of continuity. Like there's going to be in college basketball, especially with the one and done rule, that already torpedoed a lot of continuity in college basketball. I felt like for me, when they brought in the one and done, like there was no relatable teams. It was just, you were just rooting for jerseys. And with the sport of basketball, for me personally, that just didn't do anything for me. And I just couldn't get behind it. And then in March, you pick a bracket and that kind of gets you motivated a little bit to watch. But like, even then that sport never gravitated towards me because you just did, your stars were just so fleeting, right? In college football, you at least get your stars for 3 years. So you can actually like follow a team and but with the transfer portal, that even changes that. So my point is this: if you thought it was hard to identify with a college team now, whether it's football or basketball, and maybe even baseball, if you thought it was difficult then to identify and to follow a team and to understand and root for the players, it's nearly impossible. And it's crazy. So I say that to say this: Jason Edwards, he hasn't made any sort of official announcement. So it's still just rumor. It's still just speculation. What's he going to do? Is he leaning to the portal? I honestly, I think it'd be, and I hope Jason Edwards hears this, but I think it's a bad idea, personally. Watching his style of play, watching how Mark Byington utilized his style of play, and I'm not on the inside. I don't know the day-to-day interactions between those two. It could be completely toxic. It could be the best relationship ever. I just think it'd be a bad idea. Because in Mark Byington's offense, he is the slasher. He is the scorer. He is the energy guy. I think, honestly, he's going to get in the portal and realize his market value is probably not as good as he thinks it is. He's an inconsistent shooter. He is small. He gets pinballed around. But the quickness he has, his ability to get to the rim, his ability to finish at the rim is unbelievable. His defense is improving, but it still needs a lot of work. He's not a great shooter, not a consistent shooter. When he's on fire, he is on freaking fire. But when he's not, he's too extreme. He's too bipolar when it comes to shooting. He's either red hot or freaking frozen cold. And there's no in between. But the guy can finish at the rim. The guy is a high energy guy. He brings a spark into this team. That's his strength. Mark Byington knows it, and he takes advantage of that. I think it'd be a bad idea because I think here is his best opportunity to showcase for the NBA. I think here Mark Byington allows Jason Edwards to be Jason Edwards, to embrace what Jason Edwards is good at. He's going to build around that now. And Jason Edwards is not going to have to be the focal point of what we do and the lone focal point. There's going to be other elements around him that help protect what he does. So he's not going to have to drive into the lane against three guys and they make it look like the 80s Pistons, the bad boy Pistons. So anyway, but that's again, I don't know. He may actually stay. Vandy may actually, they may come to an agreement on price, NIL price and stuff like that. But I just think if he goes, I just don't know that it's a good idea. I don't know that it is. Tyron Lawrence left, and he would have been a hell of a player in Mark Byington's system. He probably could have been that consistent shooting point guard, and kind of a similar style to Jason Edwards. He could have been really, really good. He went to Georgia, and Georgia went to the tournament, but they got shellacked, and I don't know that it was much better of a situation there than it would have been had he stayed. But he had to do what he had to do. Jason Edwards is going to have to do what he has to do. I'm not going to hate Jason Edwards if he goes. Like if he goes, fine. Good luck. I'll still be happy for you. I was happy for Lawrence at Georgia. You're happy for all those guys once they put on that uniform, they always kind of embody that. So, I'm never going to hold it against him. He's got to do what he's got to do at the end of the day. So don't think that this is like sour grapes or like, oh, he would be terrible somewhere, I'm not going to root for him. Yeah, it's not that. It's just, I just think personally, my opinion is that he is a perfect fit for Vanderbilt and Mark Byington's system. If he was sitting right here, I would tell him that. And if anyone knows Jason Edwards, I would love to talk to him. But and I would love to pick his brain about what he's thinking. But anyway, I think he's a hell of a player. I really do. I would, I'd hate to see him leave a situation that's really good for him and test it out. I have no idea. So anyway, but that's speculation. And that's just kind of what the portal is. So if he moves on, Vanderbilt moves on, no hard feelings. At least for me, there might be some hard feelings from other people, but not for me. And you just kind of adjust. That's all you can do. It's all you can control. But here's what I can control. I'll see you tomorrow. See you next time. Locked On Vandy. Subscribe. Check out Locked On College Hoops, and we'll see you back here next time. Anchor down.